Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is all the shiz that we say to each other on the daily. This is not something new. We all know that we deal with it. I just think that sometimes those negative thoughts and those negative thoughts and those negative beliefs really hold us back from achieving things or doing things or even leaving the house sometimes. So I just want you to know that I am right by your side. We all of us suffer in silence with this stuff. And the creepy thing about all of this is that we as humans, we have tens of thousands of thoughts each day. I'm like, okay, is that really true? So I did some research because I gotta have the facts. And so one research said that we had 60,000 thoughts every day. One said we had 12,000 thoughts every day. I'm guessing it's close to the 60,000, especially with all the scroll and all the stuff that's going on. We've got input all the time, and everything's being interrupted by ads, etc. So we've got a lot of thinking going on. So we have however many thoughts a day. Let's just say it's 10,000 to make the math easy. That means that 8,000 of our thoughts are negative. And this is proven by science. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 90% of our thoughts are on repeat over and over and over and over and over again in our brains. So that means that probably 100% of those negative are what is 90% of 80,000, 8,000. So it's 7,000 some thoughts are going on in our head, reinforcing over and over and over and over and over and over and over the negative shiz, right? That is most of the time is false. This is it's a couple things going on, and I'm not going to go into the whole brain thing because I am definitely not professional when it comes to this. I've been studying this for years, and I can talk about it, but I don't have a lot of authority in this. But I will say this: so if you've got all those thoughts that are probably most of them are wrong. Our brains, first of all, let's not attack the brain. Our brain is doing this to protect us because it wants to keep us right exactly where we are. Because right exactly where we are, even if we're feeling anxiety and stress and our brains are telling us all these things, it's still in a place where we are safe. We are not dead. We are not running away from a lion. We are not starving to death at this moment. Our brain is just telling us stuff, and our brain is continually sabotaging or what's the word I'm thinking? Brainwashing us, frankly, in a way that we don't want. As entrepreneurs or as human beings, we always want to be evolving as much as we possibly can, right? So, and we also want to be growing as much as we possibly can, because where we are right now, the words and the thoughts that we're telling ourselves over and over and over again are just plain going to keep us exactly where we are. And it's going to keep us from moving forward, or again, going out of the house. So I'm going to be talking about a topic, and I'm going to want you guys to be active in the chat because you'll be able to help me out a little bit later. And I wasn't even going to talk about this week, but I got an email from a person who said, Carla, and she was making a decision about whether she was going to join us in Top Producer Academy. And she said, I am just trapped by my thoughts. I can't seem to convince myself. I know that this is the best next move for me, but I can't seem to convince myself to do anything. I've got the money. I've got this. I've got the desire. I've got, I want to rank up. I want to learn this. I like marketing, but I just am trapped by a thought. And her thought was, I never finish anything. I never finish anything. And I thought, and so we had a conversation around that, and she's moving forward. But my point is that all of us struggle with this stuff in our head, and we feel almost all the time that we are totally alone with this thought, right? And once you actually speak up, or once you even are cognizant or aware of what that thought is and that it's probably not good for you and it's probably negative, we can realize that we're not alone with that. It's not weird. It's not crazy. Some of us feel that we have these crazy thoughts, and we're all alone. And I just want to just mention, like, we're all looking on social media and we're looking at everybody's A game, right? We're looking at what they want to curate on social media, period. And it's not that we're misrepresenting our lives, it's just we're not telling the whole story. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I had one too many martinis a couple days ago, and I'm not going to be talking about that on social media. I'll talk about that with you guys, but I'm not going to be talking about that on social media. So you've just got to realize that when our subconscious and our brains are looking at all of this stuff, it is super easy to say, well, I don't, or I can't, or I don't have, or I'm not that, or I'll never, or I can't, or fill in the blank. So, and the worst part about that is that, of course, our brains and our whole bodies, all of our relationships, everything that we encounter in the world is all energy. And when we have those negative thoughts, we're actually manifesting that stuff. Have you ever had a friend ever, and let me know in the chat, have you ever had a friend? I had a friend once that no matter what happened, the worst thing would happen to her. And I used to joke with my other friends, we called her Eeyore, because she was always, well, oh dear, oh my. But what happened is that her energy, her thoughts, her determination that everything bad would happen to her manifested in everything bad happening to her. I don't know, I shouldn't buy an expensive car because I'll just get in a fender bender. 2 days later, she's in a fender bender, right? I don't know, I'm not going to. And so if you've ever known anyone like that or experienced that yourself, I know that what I think and what we think and what we believe, we end up creating exactly that. So I just want I want you guys to know that if you're thinking things, and I know you are, I want you to start thinking about what your limiting beliefs might be. Like, what are those things that you're saying to yourself on the daily? So I'm going to tell a quick story. This is part of my journey. When I was first developing what became Top Producer Academy, my very first course, I spent 8 months, an entire summer here lasts forever. I think it lasts almost 11 months. But I took probably 8 months, and I would go over to my office and I would sit down and get to work, and I would work all day long in my office for 5 or 6 or 7 days a week, getting almost nothing done. I got almost nothing. I worked on my course every day, but I wasn't getting anywhere. And I thought I was working, but what was happening was I was struggling with some really powerful limiting beliefs that I told myself I was not good enough, right? Who would, even though I'd been teaching this in my teams, and our teams had made bajillions of dollars. I knew it worked. I knew this is the way the world was going, all of that stuff. But I was like, I'm not good enough I've never put a course together before, so I'm not good enough. Who outside of my team would listen to me? Well, gosh, there's way better marketers than I am, right? Like, they should be doing this, not me. I mean, what are they going to think when they see that I put this course together and I'm not as good a marketer as them? I mean, seriously, guys, sorry, I'm trying to move something on my screen that's in front of everything. So hold on one second. I can't seem to move this. Gosh, dang it. Hold on. I was just in the shiz. Like, seriously, the big one that was, hold on. Now everything is in front of you guys. So bear with me a second, guys. All right. There you guys. Now I can see your comments. So the big one for me was I mean, we did great. Don't get me wrong. But there were other people that were like the number 2, number 3, number 4 people in the company that were using the things that I'm teaching in Top Producer Academy, leveraging funnels, leveraging automation, email marketing, list building, all that stuff. And they had way more leads than me. They had way more results than me. They had way more fill in the blank. So I had this whole thing going on in my head, like, well, what? I'm not good and I'm not as good as them. So why am I doing this? Number one. And number two, this was the big one for me. Like, what are they going to think? Like, oh, there's Carla. She's not good enough to do this. Who would buy her stuff? Like, I had that in my head. Or I also had, I don't know what I'm doing because I had never put a course together before. I've never done this. I'm going to be a huge failure. I'm going to waste my time. I've now wasted 8 months. I've now done all of this. And I took forever just moving forward and getting it the frick done because I didn't realize that I was buried in a huge limiting belief cesspool. I mean, a serious cesspool. And one day I realized that I guess when the desire to get it done and stop just going out and sitting in my office, like staring at the freaking walls, the desire got so big that I got it done. But I also realized that at the time, I'm like, oh gosh, you've got to figure out how to get rid of these limiting beliefs so that you can move forward powerfully. And I did a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. We also see people in our students in our courses and in our Top Producer Mastermind, our coaching program, also not putting themselves out there for the same reasons, right? It's scary. There's like, I hear stuff like, well, I don't want to have to keep putting myself out there. And, if I do, what's going to happen? I'm afraid to do that. How many of you guys like feel that way sometimes? Right? So I just feel it. And I'm telling you these stories because I want you to reinforce the fact that we all suffer from this. I have negative stuff in my brain all the time. Are you guys still there? Because I am not. Oh, Gloria says yes, definitely me. Okay, good. I must be coming at you from the future. So the cool thing is that you can do something about this. There's a couple things that have to happen. Number one, you have to actually know what your limiting belief is, and that for me was really hard. Like I didn't know. I knew what made me feel uncomfortable. And I really had to spend time with myself thinking about what is it that I'm afraid of, or what is it that I'm telling myself, and what is it that I'm repeating, and then what is it that's real, right? What is true? Is that actually true? So if am like, okay, so those people that are so much more successful than me, they might make fun of me. Well, that stuck with me for a really long time. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you one more quick story and then we'll get into the solution. I've got some homework and I have some other stuff for you. So there's this guy, Tony, at one of the companies that I was at. As a matter of fact, the company that when I started the full online automation in like 2014, 2015, there was a guy, Tony, there. Tony and I had worked together since 2004. I mean, we'd worked together in various companies. We were good friends. He and his wife had traveled the world with Don and me. So it's not like he was some dude up there on a pedestal, except he was. I didn't realize it because I wouldn't go live on Facebook. I wouldn't do it. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't actually put myself out there as much as I needed to be out there to generate business for my business on Facebook because I was afraid that this guy Tony would see what I wrote or what I said and say, oh yeah, that's cute little Carla. She's an okay marketer. So like if I am going through this, everybody is going through this. I just want you to know that you are not alone, that we all have this stuff. And that's the most important part, is to figure it out. So if you know your limiting belief, I would love for you to share it, or one of all of your, if you got, because I got a million. I got a ton of limiting beliefs that I'm working on all the time, and I'll share some with you in a second. But if you would put what your limiting belief, or a limiting belief that you've had, in the comments, I'd love to know what they are. The most popular limiting belief is, I'm not enough. We hear that all the time in all of our feedback. I'm not sure I can do anything, do this or do that, because I'm not enough. I'd love to hear what your personal limiting beliefs are. Or I don't know enough, or I'm not smart enough, or the other thing is, this one makes me cuckoo for coconuts, because it's such a red flag. You can really tell that it's a limiting belief. Somebody that says, I'm not young enough, or I'm too old, which is a completely wrong, false, not true belief, no matter how old or how young you are. I can't run a successful business. I don't have enough money. I have to work harder. That's mine, right? In order for me to make more money, I have to work harder. I'm still dealing with that one. I'm scared I'll fail. I can't be rich. Rich people are bad. I'm not confident. I'm a quitter. I never finish anything. I'll never get there. I'm behind. I'm not creative. I don't own a real business. I don't know how. I'm not smart enough. You're not good enough, right? I'm a quitter. I'm behind. That's one that for me was huge, right? I'm behind. I'm not where I should be. I'm not where so-and-so is. I'll never get there. I'm panicking, right? Because I've set all this stuff in my mind. And so, guys, I'm not creative enough. I'm not smart enough. You're not good enough. Why would people follow you? Yes, all of those, you have just identified limiting beliefs. And I hope for some of you, I actually identify my limiting beliefs by finding other people, by listening to other people's limiting beliefs. Because I can't, for some reason, figure out what my limiting beliefs are half the time. So I go and listen to, I forget, it was the Tony Robbins, where he goes through all these limiting beliefs, and I'm like, oh, that's the one. That's the one, that's the one, that's the one. So I hope that, Robin, that, right, this doesn't work in real life. Of course it does, right? So if you guys are benefiting from other people's limiting beliefs, please say so in the chat, because it's half the battle, at least for me. Daphne, being I'm afraid is okay, but if you say something that's not a limiting belief, if you say I'm afraid that something will happen, or I'm afraid if you're afraid, that's just a fact, right? So think about it from, what is it that you're telling yourself that is limiting you taking action? Being afraid is okay. Lots of people feel the fear and do it anyway. Do it anyway. So I've got some questions for you guys. Identify a limiting belief that you might have, and pick. I'm sure that one of these that we said, like, I can't run a successful business. I don't have enough money. I'm not enough. I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not articulate enough. I'm not, all these things. Identify one of those right now, and then ask yourself 3 questions. The first question is, what has your limiting belief cost you in the past? What has that limiting belief cost you in the past? And so I'll tell you, my limiting belief that was holding me back from creating that course, it cost me months and months and months and months of my time, and it cost me my confidence and money. But what is it in your case? What is your limiting belief cost you in the past? And then ask yourself, what is your limiting belief costing you right now? So if the idea is, I'm a quitter and I never finish anything, and I'm not trying to sell you into my course, but I had somebody say to me, I never finish anything. why should I start in Top Producer Academy? And I'm like, are you ready to change that story? Right? Because otherwise, if you're not willing to change that story, then don't get started in Top Producer Academy. So what is that limiting belief that you just identified? What is that costing you right now? And then the scariest question is, what is it costing you, or could it cost you in the future? So for me, that limiting belief that was holding me back from finishing creating my course was, in the past, it cost me months and months of time. It probably cost me some confidence from my spouse, from my husband. Probably lost some confidence in me. He's probably like, okay, yeah, go do this thing. But then months and months later, you haven't done anything. Yeah, you haven't finished it. You have barely gotten anything. You recorded one video. WTF, right? I totally would support him in that assumption. And then what if I had kept that limiting belief? What would that have cost me going forward? Everything, right? I would not absolutely be here right now, for sure. It would have a failure to go get my goals, failure to create another income stream, failure, and this is the most important part, all the people's lives that we've touched over the past 6 years would not have been touched. So I want you to think about you when you're holding whatever it is that's holding you back. Think about the impact that would be stolen from all the people, your prospects that are out there waiting for you right now. There's a whole ripple effect that's waiting to happen once you break through that limiting belief, those limiting beliefs. And believe me, guys, this is something that's going to go on and on and on, because cracking through limiting belief issues is an endless job, right? Because you're gonna fix one, and then there's going to be another one behind that. Because again, remember, our brains are busy doing their jobs, keeping us safe, etc. So I know I see some sad faces in the chat, and I know I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. So a homework assignment that, if you're willing to take this up, is to just spend a day tracking your thoughts. Like, what is it that you're saying to yourself? And you have to be really careful, because you could say, well, that's true. I'm too old. Or you might even gloss over a limiting belief while you're going through your day, not recognizing it as a limiting belief. So you've got to be aware. The best thing you can do for yourself is to be aware for a whole day and just really track, what is it that my brain is saying to me? What is it telling me, and is it true? So that's one piece of homework, and we, in this particular exercise that we just did, I'm looking for you to get out of autopilot. One of the things that I say at my live events, gosh, I haven't had a live event in 2 years, is don't go back to default. When you leave, don't go back to the default town. You've got to take what you've learned and implement it into your business and into your life in order for your life to get changed from our 3-day events that we used to hold in fancy pants hotels all over the place. And I'm actually kind of relieved we don't do that, because it's really fun to be able to just connect like this in some cases, but I do miss the in-person transformations that happen. So definitely take a look at what you do. Say to yourself on the daily, think about staying out of autopilot and default, and then track and question the programming that's going on in your head. We all know this, right? If we change our mind, we change our life. And you can totally change this, but you've got to work on it every single day. And I'm going to share with you a scientifically proven, because I'm interested in the science piece, that works for you to go from autopilot and auto default into on-purpose living, and being aware and correcting those negative beliefs. So this is super easy, and it's super hard. Super easy and super hard. So here's what it is. The second you catch yourself with a limiting belief, like, no one likes me, There's a limiting belief. You have to say, stop! Or you can make up another word. You can say, F that, whatever works for you. Like, you've got to have some sort of pattern interrupt, and then change it to something positive. So if it's, no one likes me, the right people love me. I'm too old. I have plenty of time. I have plenty of experience. I'm more than capable of doing the work. I'm behind. I'm on my own timeline. I'm not smart enough. If I put the work in, I can do anything. This is so important to do, and this is not hard, yet it's hard. It is for me because I tend to go, I leave my body and I'm in my brain, I'm getting stuff done, and I'm creating handouts and checklists and lives like this, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm not paying attention to what my brain is telling me. So what I'm asking you to do is what I'm asking me to do I'm going to be doing this. I do it, but I don't do it consistently. I'm going to be making the effort to do this consistently as long as I possibly can, so I can identify those things that are holding me back, that are stopping me from moving forward. And here's what I want for you. I want the same thing. I want you to realize how amazing you are, how truly talented you are, what an amazing human being you are, full of curiosity and love and willingness to do what you need to do to create the life that is meant for you. And believe me, that life is meant for you. That life is waiting for you. That life is there. We just have to clear the weeds, get them out of the way, get those, and it's called limiting beliefs because they are limiting you, and they're keeping you safe. I gotta give them props, gotta give our brains props. But it's kind of like a wall of weeds between you and your future. And you've got to take the time to weed that garden in your head so that you can see that future. You can see what's possible for you. Otherwise, we're just going to let the weeds impede our progress. Okay, guys, so I love you. I believe in you. And I believe you have 100% of what you need to make your life of your dreams come true. I want to end on this since I see Nancy. I'm in this, I'm all dressed up in Nancy Pulitzer and Lily Pulitzer for you today in honor of your trip, honor of your move to Florida. Big love for you, Nancy, and big love for each and every one of you that joined me today. I had fun. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll come back and answer them. On that note, I'm going to go have lunch with Don. Go forth, be fruitful, and multiply, everybody. Big love. Mwah. Bye, everyone.